So a couple of things. The biggest question that I got over the weekend, received over the weekend, was what is the difference between a due date and an available until date? So I will go over that. Second thing that seemed to bother about 5 or 6 people in this period, when you take the entire alphabet combined, was the module was locked. I can't get to the module. And then the last thing is, how do you tell if something's been recorded and graded, right? Something's been recorded and graded. So I'll go over those 3 things. Then we'll review last week. We'll play the review game online. I'll show you how to access your test, and we'll be done. So it should be pretty stress-free. So a couple of things. When you log into Canvas, your 5 courses or 6 courses, however many classes you're taking, are going to show up on the left-hand side here. So you can see what shows up for me, right, is basically this, are all courses. So if you notice on the right-hand side is a to-do list. So classwork assignment, homework assignment, unit test. And it'll give you the due date down here. And you can see these are things that I still have not done. So I don't submit generally the assignments because I'm showing each period on what to do in terms of the navigation of that or submitting that. So that is one place you can check and see what is left for you to do. The second thing is, if you click on the assignments page, these are generally the things that are going to be turned in for points. So a couple of things to highlight here for you. So if we take a look at each one of these assignments, whether it was homework or classwork, is going to have a due date, right? It's going to have a due date. Now, there have been a number of issues, right, since we've started. Every assignment that we have done is still available to you. So if you have missed something, if you forgot to turn it in, didn't finish it, you still have the opportunity to turn that in for full credit as we're approaching the end of the 6 weeks, right, which is 1/3 of the way through the semester. The second thing that you should notice, and this is where a lot of questions came up and maybe some confusion, is this available until date. So all of these things here that say overdue assignments means that on this date, the 21st of August, the 24th of August, September 8th, and September 8th, those assignments showed up in Aries as an assignment that you should have turned in and that has been graded. So the due date means that once we hit that due date, it is going to show up as a grade. If you've got a grade and a score, it will help your grade. If you haven't turned it in, it's going to lower your grade. The available until date, right? The available until date is going to be, right? If you look here, September 11th, all the way down here, all of these are still available to you. That means that you can still turn them in for full credit. So the due date is when it starts showing up as a grade. And if you haven't turned it in, it's going to show up as a missing assignment. The available until date is when you can still turn that in for full credit. So the assignments page is also going to show you overdue assignments. Those are things that have already hit the grade book. Upcoming assignments. This is your upcoming assignment for next week. You can see that it's due September 14th at 3:15 p.m. It is available until next Friday, right? Just so that you have the same amount of time that, say, a period 4 student would have if I had them on class on Wednesday. These are past assignments, right? So this was due August 31st, this individual assignment, Themes of History on TCI. It's still available until September 11th, right? Still available until September 11th. So that was the biggest question that I received over the past couple of days, especially on the weekend where people were working on their assignments. Second biggest thing that came up was my modules locked and assignments locked. I can't get through. So remember, I talked a little bit about this last week. In your modules, what I did was put everything that you need to do for a week into a module. So week 1 is essentially module 1. Week 2 is essentially module 2. And then if you notice, right, to get into I'll change colors. That's not very dark for you, is it? To get into, right, your week 2 module, you have to have done the week 1 module. And then as you move down, you can see, right, to get into the week 3 module, you have to have done both 1 and 2. To get into the week 4 module this week, you have to have done 1, 2, and 3. And that's just, right, so that everybody's ready to go, then you know what you're doing. Remember that you can pick and choose, and you could go and have done basically, right, this assignment or clicked on this assignment, what have you, but you want to start at the beginning of the module, even if it's just to review what we talked about in class, right? So the overview gives you, hey, this is what you need to do or what you need to know by the end of the week, and then click next. And when then you go through next, we reviewed the 5 themes of history. After that last week, we talked about ancient Greece and the important ideals that we got from there. As that loads, you'll see the notes come into the box there. And you can scroll through and look at those or review those if you want. There's the link to the video. And then you click next. As you move through each one of these, this is what clears the module. So as I move through this module, which is number 3 for week number 3, then it is going to allow me to open number 4. It will say that it is available. So forms of government, we went over that. And then, right, we went over the monotheistic religions. There's your classwork assignment in terms of the map you were supposed to do. Forms of government you were supposed to do. And then your religions on TCI, and that was the last one. And so when you're done with that, it will unlock module 4. So that was the second most aggravating thing, I think, for people, is that they would try to skip or jump to an assignment, right? And it'd be the same thing here. It's not going to let you jump to this unless you complete what's required before then. If you don't do that, it's not going to let you. Any questions on that? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the items we discussed last week, which was finishing up Unit 1. So we looked at ancient Greece, ancient Rome, monotheistic religions, and the common forms of government that we'll find throughout. Here, and this is up on your Canvas page, here you can review everything that we had talked about, but basically Greece, very simply, for the importance of what we have in this country is that it helps to create standards for government and human rights. And you can see that in our Constitution, the way that our government's set up. We are a representative democracy. Democracy and that ideal comes from Greece. The way that the Greeks separated their government, so we have what's called separation of powers. We have 3 branches of government. The executive branch consisting of the president and vice president. We have the legislative branch consisting of the Senate, which is the upper house, the House of Representatives, which is the lower house. And then we have a 3rd branch, the judicial branch, which is led by the U.S. Supreme Court. Each of those 3 branches has checks and powers over the other 2. So the President of the United States gets to nominate justices to the Supreme Court. That's their oversight of that branch. The President of the United States can sign or veto bills or laws that are brought to him or her by the Senate and the House, right? If you look at the legislative branch, right, just last year you had an impeachment inquiry against the president. The legislative branch can override a presidential veto. The legislative branch gets to confirm or deny the nomination of a Supreme Court justice. And then when you look at the judicial branch can deem, as they did with President Nixon in the 70s with Watergate, as they have done with President Trump and what he did with some of his executive orders, the executive branch can deem that laws passed by the legislative branch, actions by the executive branch or legislative branch of government are unconstitutional. And so all of those things we get from ancient Greece. Ancient Rome. When we look at ancient Rome, the two big standards there is this idea of a form of government, which is known as a republic. A republic is a form of government where the people will elect representatives to make day-to-day decisions for them. And that's what we have here in the United States, even at the state level. The second thing that we get is this equality under the law. That when you are a citizen, and this is how it was in ancient Rome, but when you're a citizen of the state being the country or society we're talking about, you have the same rights as every other citizen in that society. And so the Romans came up with the idea of the 12 tablets. The 12 tablets, remember, were the set of written laws, basically as a guide to Roman society, posted on the entrances and the exits of Rome. And basically, right, you had the ability to be treated equally. You were to know the laws ahead of time. They couldn't change those on you. And then any punishment for the violation of a law had to be reasonable. So as I said last week, it would be like if you were caught speeding, doing 40 and a 35, they just can't take you out and chop your hand off because you were speeding, right? That's not a reasonable response to the crime that you are accused of committing. Also, some of the standards that we have, right? You are innocent until proven guilty. It is up to the accuser, right? The prosecution, the state, to prove your guilt. You do not have to prove that you're innocent. And this is a change from many years before. So all of these things here come from ancient Rome, and you'll see them in our city. Lastly, in terms of notes, as I said, this is all in Canvas, so you can look at this as many times as you want, is the development of monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, during this time period, right? From earliest BC into the AD time period, even through, say, like the 700s. Monotheistic religions are religions that believe in one deity, one God, right? Not many gods. They're a polytheistic religion. So it places the importance of society on the individual, right? Not a group. So it's individuals who are responsible for being good people. You're responsible for being yourself. And it places, not only when you place responsibility on an individual, it places worth on that individual. So no longer are you a subject of the ruler, a subject of the king, subject of the dictator. You are a citizen of that country. You're a citizen of God's will. So it places a value on humanity. It also preaches an equality, right? Everybody who believes in God, everybody who believes in me, many of these books will tell you, right, has worth and value. You are just as good as anybody else. So this increases the ideas of democratic thinking that we have throughout the time period. And then lastly, when we talked about forms of government, these are just common forms that you'll see in and around the units that we talk about. So monarchy, and we'll get into specific English monarchies next week, but monarchy is state ruled by a king, right? Generally passed down after the death of the king or the queen to the oldest child. Aristocracy is a rule by nobility. Oligarchy, present day examples, right, would be North Korea. Earlier, you would have an oligarchy would be an example of Hitler and the Nazis, the fascists under Mussolini in Italy in the late 20s. And then you have a direct democracy, ancient Greece, basically any of these states or countries that are ruled by citizens, right? The rulers in our country get their ability and right to rule from the consent of our vote. And that obviously can be taken away, depending. Is there any questions on any of those items there? Okay, and so last thing I wanted to show you was how do I check and see if something's been graded or accepted in Canvas. Now, if you go to Aries, right, obviously you can see every grade, and that is updated specifically. But if you go to grades, okay, and it's a page that'll come up, it will have a list of assignments. It'll tell you, and you can see even this, right? So even though this was turned in late, as I said, even if you're turning in something late, you're still going to be getting full credit for it if you have done everything you're supposed to do. So down here in Canvas on the grades page, it'll tell you every assignment we've had, when it was due, if you've turned it in, and if you've turned it in, has it been graded? If it says missing, this means you haven't turned it in. So that is one way that you can check and see if the things that you have done in Canvas have been turned in and accepted. All right. So classwork and homework generally are your only two categories. I'll get rid of these. These were test categories to make sure that the pass back was aligning with Aries. And so we wanted to make sure that that looked right. So I'll get rid of that so it's not as confusing. What you'll want to do now is add a tab to your internet browser. And I'm going to send you a link. We'll be able to play this game online at the same time as each other. So I'll send it through the chat room. All right, so I sent it a few times through the chat room, but basically, if you put in to your internet browser, kahoot.it, and enter in the game pin of 2697481, it's going to ask for, all right, it's going to ask for your game pin, and I'll ask you to create a name. You're going to go ahead and join that, and then we'll be able to do the review game together. So you can just open up a browser. You should be able to hear my voice still. If you've got your Zoom open, go to kahoot.it in your internet browser, the tab that you have added for a new tab, and put in the game code 2697481. There's still 3 more to get on. Two more to get on. Kaviki, you able to get on? All right, we had someone that get kicked out for some reason, so we'll see if you can get back in. All right, keep losing people. All right, here we go. Okay, so this Greek created 4 levels of citizenship. Solon is one that created 4 levels of citizenship. Remember, the upper 3 could hold office, and even the lowest class could vote, right? Could vote. All right. Question students to think. Which one of these Greeks questions students to think? Good. Socrates, right? The Socratic method. It's a method of questioning. Ooh, big jump. Big changes there. Abigail jumped 4 spots. Starts a direct democracy. Which one of the Greeks there did that? Pericles. Pericles is the one that starts a direct democracy in Greece. All right. So if you've been paying attention, it's the 4 same in the order. So this person writes the Republic on how government should be organized. It's the last one of the 4 that hasn't been used yet. Good. Plato. Plato writes the Republic. how government should be organized. Okay, Cleisthenes created the Council of 500. Is that true or false? It's true. Creates a Council of 500. Ancient Rome had what type of government? Okay. Most popular answer would be republic. If you picked oligarchy, I still gave you credit for that because when it talked about ancient Rome, specifically in the video that we watched, a couple minutes of the video, they talked about that extremely, extremely mean ruler of ancient Rome before everybody rose up and got rid of him. Look at that, Aiden with a hot streak of 5. All right, the highest social class in ancient Rome was what group? Patricians. Patricians is the top social group in Rome. All right, lowest social class in ancient Rome. The plebeians, right? The plebeians, however you want to pronounce that, lowest social class. Slaves, remember, were not a citizen, so they wouldn't be considered part of Rome. Slaves were not a citizen. That's why they wouldn't be considered part of Rome. All righty, written laws in ancient Rome were called what? Right, 12 tablets. 12 tablets is what the laws were written on. All right, who in Rome had protection with written laws? All free citizens. All free citizens had the equality and protection of those written laws. And that's where we get our tradition and protections from in our Constitution, was from ancient Rome. All right, Islam's prophet is who? Islam's prophet is Muhammad. They're going to come back. Christianity's prophet. Jesus Christ. Judaism believes that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. True or false? It's false, right? So Judaism believes, right, that the Son of God is coming, but they don't believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. So they believe that he is yet to come. All right, which of the following was the first monotheistic religion? Judaism. Judaism is the first and the oldest of those three. Natalie R, streak of 7. That's impressive. Right up to first place. Just kicked Kaviki right out of there. Christianity's holy book is known as what? Bible, right? Christianity's holy book is the Bible. Judaism's holy book is what? Torah, right? Or what Christians would consider the Old Testament. Look at that, Natalia making a run up. Islam's holy book is known as what? Quran. Right? Ruled by one and usually passed on to a family member is known as what? Monarchy. Ruled by one, usually passed on to a family member, is a monarchy. Ruled by many or a specific class. Oligarchy. Oligarchy is rule by many or a specific class of people. Rule by one using fear. Tyranny. Tyranny is ruled by using fear. All right, ruled by the people. Democracy. Democracy is ruled by the people. Ruled by elected representatives is a republic. True or false? True. Ruled by elected representatives is a republic. Gianna make a move up to third. All right, city-state number 7 on the map. Athens. Athens, that's the city-state of Athens. City-state number 10. That's the city-state of Sparta. And then, right, the C represented by number 12 is Mediterranean Sea. Mediterranean Sea. Natalie, taken first. Okay, some of the most commonly missed questions, right? Created 4 levels of citizenship was Solon, right? The top 3 could hold office. Lowest social class in ancient Rome is the plebeians or plebeians, however you want to pronounce that. City-state 7, right there on the Mediterranean coast is Athens, right? Starts a democracy. You have Pericles. Socrates was the Socratic method. Highest social class in ancient Rome was the patricians. City-state 10, right here, is Sparta. Ruled by many or a specific class is going to be oligarchy. And then which of the following is the first monotheistic religion? It is Judaism, oldest. Next oldest is Christianity. Islam is in roughly the 600, 660 AD. So it is the newest. All right. So a couple of things. If we take a look at your module for this week, let me share this with you. Okay. The only thing you have to do now is finish this unit test before we meet next Friday. Due date is the 14th. It's available until next Friday at 3:15. But if you go into the unit review, right? We just did the Kahoot together. We reviewed everything. You can practice these questions, write them down, write the answers down as you play them if you want for your test. If you're on a mobile device or a tablet, you'll want to download the app. If you're on a desktop, you can click on this. This here is the game pen that you would use. And you can play that Kahoot as many times as you want in preparation for your test. When you're ready for your test, as I said last week, you want to make sure that you have 40 minutes set aside at the minimum to take the 30 questions, because your test will lock if you open any other tab, if you minimize the tab you're in, or you open up another tab, access another browser, something like that. Second thing, your username is going to be your student 6-digit number, right? Not your email address, not your tablet login. It's going to be your 6-digit student number. Your password is going to be the same as your network password. The test is open every day from 7, I believe. I sent an email out through Canvas on this, 7 till 4 every day of the week. All right, so 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can't do it late at night. I don't want these submissions at like 12:59 a.m. in the morning. If you click this, when you're ready, make sure you have at least 40 minutes set aside so you can take the exam. All right. Your student number, as I said, is going to be your username. So we'll use one of yours as the way to get in. Okay. So we'll use a 6-digit code. That's the username, right? And that's it. All right, that's it. Then if you put in your password, you'll click sign in. When you click sign in, double check, make sure it says your name over there. And then the first blue box is going to say take assessments. All right. As I said, once you click on this, you want to be sure that you have enough time to finish. So when you click on that, you'll see that it'll divide your screen into two. On the left-hand side is going to be the questions. On the right-hand side is where you're going to be filling out the answer. When you're done with all 30 questions, you're going to hit done and view results. If you missed anything, it's going to tell you, it's going to say, hey, look, you missed question 25. You left it blank, right? In this case, I left all 30 blank. Are you sure you want to submit for scoring? So you can go back and review the items if you want, fill in the ones that you missed. Then when you're done, click on submit for scoring, return your score, and you'll be set. That's the only thing that you have to do between now and the next Friday that we meet. All right, the next unit that we have will be the Renaissance, the Reformation, early England, for Unit 2. Don't forget, you've got the YouTube channel, so if you miss any classes, you can look up that class online. And then don't forget, right, to unlock a module, make sure that you've done the previous modules. As I said, you can use the review game that we just